Good afternoon and welcome to Key Dialogues. Hey! I listen to and I look at the commodification of Black female beauty, which Black women have never really been able to own on their own. I remember as a young person growing up that one of my dreams, one of my fantasies was to be a prima ballerina. But I was often told that Black women did not have the physiognomy, the physical stature, that their thighs were too big and their behinds were too big, that their breasts were too big to ever really be ballerinas. And so companies like Dance Theater of Harlem were formed that were composed of all persons of African descent. So this idea, this conversation, it really perplexes me on some levels because there are so many occurrences emerging in our contemporary society that give me pause. Namely, among them is this conversation that is beginning to emerge about Black women as unsatisfactory companions, that they are not groomed, nor prepared or appropriate. They are not suitable companions for men. More specifically, are really pushing away from the idea that Black women are to be honored or to be revered or to be helped, humanized, respected, loved. Any of those compassionate kinds of endeavors. And according to people like Trick Daddy, who many people don't know, right? But he's a, I guess a musician, I'll call him. And other people, young musician on the rise, Kodak Black, and other people like Tay Diggs. As a young person, I was introduced to this man, Ben Johnson. Mommy was a playwright studying at UCLA, and so of course she had to study great plays. And one of those great plays was called The Masque of Blackness. And Queen Anne of Denmark, who happens to be King James I, the very same person who revitalized, rewrote, re-envisioned the Bible. This is his wife. They had a playwright who was known only second to Shakespeare to write a play at the Queen's behest that spoke about beauty. The play was called The Masque of Blackness and really seems shockingly inappropriate in the 15th century that this woman wanted to dress herself in blackface, because it was all about Queen Anne, and this is her, in blackface. And this is sometime in the 1600s, 1603, I believe, that she's in blackface portraying herself as the daughter of Ethiopia, who once knew that she was beautiful because she was kissed by the sun, and the sun made her skin so beautiful and dark. But some poets came from the north and told her that her black skin was no longer beautiful. And so the play itself is really about this woman, the daughter of Niger, killing herself because she's black. Why is brown skin okay on some women but not on others? Why is a big buttocks okay on some women and not the others? And I'm always thinking about this conversation, this relationship that exists between Black women and white women. I think it's important that we really talk about this if we are really serious about doing something to deconstruct race and gender and marginalization in this particular country. I remember the first time I saw J-Lo being lauded as a physical beauty. I remember when I began to see lots of attention placed on her ample, rounded buttocks. And I thought back to Sarah Bartman, right, who was recruited in her 18th year to become a commodity, a showpiece in the circus in London. And I thought about how her buttocks was an indication of her savagery, and now Jennifer Lopez's buttocks in some way was an indication of her beauty. And then I started hearing about Botox injections, that lips were becoming fuller, that behinds were becoming fuller. I was already really aware that Caucasian women tan. So my question is, does this have any impact? I wonder how this this is King James, in case anyone doesn't know, and I'm just being funny, but do you notice the pimp hat? Do you see the fly sky to the side? Do you see the brooch and the feather? Right? And then people are always kind of putting the stereotype on African American men about their codes of dress, and I think they must be emulating this. That's what I think. But these are the people who sat down and actually commissioned for a play to be written about how Black women hate themselves. And today, one of the largest industries is the beauty industry, especially as related to Black women and the selling and the buying of hair, right? That's just one aspect. We can also look around the globe at skin lightening and other issues that are beginning to impact women of color in a detrimental way. I don't want to just put information out here. I also want us to think about this information. I also want us to think about what we might be able to do. Be open and honest for the conversation that's sure to come. This has been a moment with Key Dialogue. This is